somebody was moving and I realized, you know you're not very likable when you own a truck and nobody ever asks you to help with your truck. I would never ask you what you think of my comedy. You know what I mean?
No,
Why not?
Because I don't want to know the answer. You know what I mean? It's like my wife doesn't drink, and I don't want her to get drunk. Or I don't really want to hear the truth. You know what I mean? Like
right, but you said that I'm not. You said that I'm not critical. I support a lot of different comedians. You're
That's
one of the
true.
comedians that
That's
I
true. That's
support
true.
most often
That's true.
to other comedians when we have conversations. I am constantly telling people how funny I think.
He's always defending you. No?
They're like,
Yeah,
all
when
I ever see is this guy suck.
When people come for Tom Simmons,
Yeah.
I tell them they're wrong. When every person I meet comes for Tom Simmons and tells me the problems with Tom, I defend you.
Thank you very much.
I don't care what people say
You
about
see what
you.
that's doing to me right now? Like,
No,
so I listened to a comic. I was backstage at Laughing Skull, and I listened to a comic do about a bunch of stuff about how she has a mean pussy.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm a play on word guy, right? So that's, when you hear a mean pussy, what do you think?
What do I think, or what do I think?
Like if I'm a girl and I'm saying I got a mean pussy.
So
That's a
it's
good
a good
thing.
thing, right? It's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Well, it depends. There's two ways to take that, right? If I hear that from a human being, I think, oh, they mean they are good at sex, and they have a vagina that is made specifically to have good sex. But if I hear a comedian say that, I think, well, I would go with.
That's where I'm going, right? Like she was all about how great her pussy was, but I'm with you. Continue. I want to see if you
I would do both.
Yeah.
If it was me, if I were her, not to tell her how to do her pussy jokes because that's her job.
I'm writing my own joke about mean pussy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would go both ways. I would be like, oh, my pussy's so
Mean.
good, it's a mean pussy.
Says-
but also,
says terrible
if
shit
you
to
are
me.
not good to it, it is mean to you. You know what I
Yes.
mean, that's how I would go.
Ah.
I would turn, if I were a woman.
Now, how
and
would
I-
a
if I
would a
were
pussy be
woman-
mean?
if
How would
I
a
were
pussy be
woman-
mean?
I'll tell you, if I were a woman and I was writing a mean pussy joke, I would turn that pussy into my dad.
Right?
Nothing you do is ever good enough. You know what I mean? That's how I would go.
That is a mean pussy, right? Just going to talk shit like that? Yes. But in mathematics,
Quite the segue.
mean is, no, in mathematics,
yeah.
mean is average.
Yeah. Oh.
You have an average pussy is what you're bragging about.
Which would be good. When I'm playing poker, if I have an average or above stack, I feel pretty good about my position.
Par for the course. It's not bad.
So
Nobody's
mathematically,
I have a par for the course pussy.
Yeah.
That doesn't quite roll off.
yeah, it's not as powerful a bit
Doesn't
for the
quite
girl to be
roll
like,
off the pussy
like
lips the same.
my pussy.
Jeez.
How do you read those if you're deaf? It's got to be tough for the blind. But yeah, so when I hear, sometimes I'll hear stuff like that. So what's the line in comedy of like that when you hear someone doing a bit about her mean pussy and it sends you in a different direction comedically? Do you give it to that person? Like you're like, oh, I got some more stuff for your mean pussy bit. Same here, right? Or do you be like, oh, I've heard that
I don't know.
phrase.
If it's somebody I don't really know, I won't.
Right?
Yeah, because they might take it the wrong way, right?
Well,
Like say, oh, you think you can do my job?
I've had so many interactions with comedians where I'm like, so I've had to figure out how to pass tags to people. And there is an artful way to do it. And then there is every other way. And I refuse to do any of those ways.
What are some of the artful ways?
So, all right, I don't know.
What are some of the other ways that you
I don't
refuse
know Tom Simmons. I don't know you. I get booked on a show. I'm your opener, right?
Right.
We go in, I see you do your set, and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I got 5 things that I think would help or that you would enjoy. I will not, until I get to know you, say any of them. If you asked me, what'd you think? 1,000,000% I'll give them to you. My rule of thumb is I will pass them to you at brunch if that's the conversation. If we go out
Has
to
to happen
lunch,
organically.
yeah,
Yes.
if we go out to lunch on the Saturday, I'd be like, hey man, do you mind if I got
I'm in
some-
for the lunch. I'm
Yeah.
out on brunch.
You're out. What?
What do you have against brunch?
I don't know. I don't like
Are
it.
you homophobic?
Is that a gay
Why?
thing?
Why?
Wait, why? What?
How did we get there?
That's the stereotype that
That's
gay
the
men
stere-
enjoy brunch. Yeah.
I love brunch.
I have never
I
even
love
heard of
brunch.
that.
Oh, brunch is my favorite.
I'll
Yeah.
brunch all day. Not
You don't
since
see
I
the
quit,
memes or
Brunch
it's
all
like,
day long. Brunch all day.
not since I quit drinking though. When I was a drinker, it was only brunch all day. There's no problem See, this is my problem with brunch is that we relegate breakfast to now an extended period of the day, but any period of the day I think is wrong. I want to have breakfast whenever the fuck I want to have breakfast. It's
Right.
just a food.
So
You know what I mean?
what about
That's
brunch?
like saying I can't have.
Can you do brunch, like half dinner, half lunch, or whatever?
I don't like these dumb jokes you make sometimes.
No, I'm saying, like, why is it just?
No, when you
why
try
is
and-
it just one thing?
If I want to have meatloaf for breakfast, I want to have meatloaf for breakfast. You can't
Ugh.
tell me when I'm having eggs.
You
Don't
can't
judge
have
me.
you-
fucking meatloaf for
Now you
breakfast.
hate meatloaf.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yep. This fucking guy.
You need to
love
get your
meatloaf.
you need to get your fiance on the phone and tell her you're having meatloaf tonight, and to go hit Boston Market and go get it. You made the decision; she's got to pick it up.
I don't know if I'd like. Is Boston Market good lasagna or meatloaf?
Yeah, they have pretty good meatloaf. They have pretty good meatloaf.
Why
Pretty
did I-
good.
why
Do
did
they
I
do
think of that?
ketchup? Is it ketchup-y meatloaf?
Yeah, I think they do a little ketchup
Okay.
on the meatloaf.
Who else
yeah.
has a meatloaf?
Is it like Mama makes it?
Who else has a meatloaf?
Yeah,
What restaurant-wise?
yeah.
Restaurant wise.
I assume a bunch. I don't know. I don't.
I don't
Cracker
think
Barrel maybe.
Cracker Barrel probably has a meatloaf.
Bob Evans, which those aren't around
What's
here. I
that
guess.
place you go and it's like kind of a la carte? You know the one. You know the one. Everybody brings people there. It's old people. Everybody always makes fun of this place for being old.
Golden Corral?
Golden Corral definitely has a meatloaf, but there's another place.
Oh yeah,
You know what
Golden
I'm
Corral has
talking
a
about.
good meatloaf.
Yeah, they have a good meatloaf. I don't even eat meat anymore. I'm just saying, if I want to,
Meatloaf.
if I want to have chicken and waffles, I remember people still get upset about chicken and waffles.
Can you
Like,
do eggs and
Marron.
meatloaf, like a egg and
Of course
meatloaf,
you
like a
can. Why
steak and
can't you,
eggs?
Tom? It's 2022.
Well, I'm not
man.
saying you. Can, I'm just saying, because you know.
Why'd you stifle that laugh, by the way,
Yeah.
Seth, when I said that? You know, give me. He wants
Hey, that
his
wasn't
laugh.
stifling it. It was just I
No.
was right near the mic. I didn't want to give a harsh.
What
If
were
I
you
make a
laughing
good
at?
joke-
What were you laughing at? What was the joke?
He
on
said
this?
it's 2022, Tom. That's always funny.
It's
It's
never-
2022.
it's never
I like
not
when people
funny.
say the
Oh,
wrong
okay.
year.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
dude, it's 2019. Like my brother would do that all the time. I'd say something. He goes,
It's a good
dude,
little
come
bit.
on, it's 2015,
It's
and
a
it was
good
like
bit.
2018.
Yeah, it's a
It's
solid
funny.
bit. Yeah,
Okay,
it works
but
almost
but
every
it's
time.
2022, right?
It is 2022. You can have eggs and meatloaf. Why are we still judging anything at this
Yeah.
point? We need to get rid of
Like what you like.
almost all judgment. Almost all judgment needs to go to the.
Turn the earth into a Planet
That's
Fitness.
not good judgment. Like you need judgment. Like when you're
That's
gambling and
true.
stuff, and the money goes high. You know what I'm saying? You
That's
need
decision making. That's
judgment's
not judgment.
need- That's poor judgment.
Yeah, but you shouldn't judge me on being a gambler. You know what I mean?
Sustained.
We should get you a gavel.
Gavel would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Gavel would be good.
So
Or if you say something smart, we'll just make the dumbest part on the logo
Let's
go.
just-
Cross it out and
Let's
make it
just
as
assume that's
smart
not
as-
guy
gonna
in
happen.
the room.
let's just assume that's not going to happen. All right?
Or we'll have someone else's, like if I'm the dumbest guy that day, we'll have a picture of me come up there.
Because that's the show, right? Dumbest guy in the room.
That's the
Yeah, it
show,
doesn't.
yeah.
Ha-
Don't
with
forget to like
Tom
and
Simmons, it
subscribe.
doesn't
What's
say
up,
you
YouTube?
are the dumbest guy.
I almost fell down as I
Yeah,
walked
please
over
don't do that.
and stepped on that. So what were you teaching us?
You said I can trace. I have the minutes.
Okay.
He was talking about I would let you know about I would give people tags
Oh yeah.
over brunch, and then you said
then
you didn't like
Let's
brunch,
go
and I
back.
said
All right, now, yeah, we
Why are you
interrupted the,
homophobic?
I was like the waiter coming over, interrupting your story to see if everything was okay. Let's get back to that.
I was the waiter.
Okay, so you'll pass them at brunch. That's a way to do it.
No, I mean I like to ask. I'm like, hey, I got some notes if you want them, and if you don't want them, I legitimately don't give a fuck.
Do you give guys tags like comics that you're friends with?
I think the only time I've ever done that was at like a shop mic. Like
Yeah,
when
he's
you
also only like
specifically
a
did
year
it.
in. He hasn't had
I,
it.
I don't have the right. I feel
He
like
could
Oh,
probably
I felt like that's
he could
the-
probably still count the amount of times he's done comedy.
Oh, I felt
Yeah.
I felt like that was the way to sort of meet everybody. You know what I mean? Like it was to be like, oh, that joke you're doing. Like, I don't know if you know, but you're saying it like this, where if you said it, bump it up, bump, that's better. You know what I mean?
No,
like if I wrote tags, it was like, I didn't.
You're different. You understood comedy before you started doing comedy. There are a lot of people who do comedy and don't quite understand it yet.
yeah,
but
I'm
I'm
still
sure,
learning a lot.
I'm sure most
yeah.
of the stuff you pitch I pitched wasn't very good. You pitch me good stuff all the time, but sometimes it fits and sometimes it just somehow
It's a different take on it.
Yeah.
The way I look
I'll
at
write it down and then I'll come back to it and be like, oh, why didn't I start doing that? Like that's a funny. you know?
Well, first off, I'm always right.
Yeah.
Every tag I've ever given everybody is so fucking perfect.
Yeah.
But I do think it's I don't know. I think the way I look at tags is I think I'm right, but I'm also coming at it from my perspective. So if I give you a tag, my intent isn't for you to use that tag specifically. If it is, and fantastic.
Right, but
My
that's how
intent
you would
is-
do it.
My intent is this is how I would do it. So maybe that jogs you in a direction, not necessarily where I would go, and definitely not where you would go, but maybe it's a different direction that you wouldn't go, and that finds a better way, a better version of the way you would say it.
Yeah, but sometimes you give a joke, right? And then they put it how they would say it.
Oh, it's
and
the
you're
worst.
like, what are you doing?
Oh, I
Like,
have a very long list.
I literally was in the writer's room at one point this week, a couple weeks ago, and there was a joke that I'd put, and it got changed, and it was like, and I just was like, you guys know how to fuck up a simple joke. And then like the two assistants laughed or whatever, and then Miss Pat was like, what was the joke? And I was like, here's the joke, right? You know, and I may even have been wrong, but it's just like, I don't feel like I'm wrong. I feel like this is the way to tell
We
it.
are a stubborn people.
Yes, there's a bit where Miss Pat's saying something about like her daughter loves her, and she loves the girl that she's with, but I love you too. And Pat says, you better love me more. I'm the first vagina you sniffed, right? Something like that, some line like that. And then, so we're like, oh, okay, that's funny because it's better than the line we had. And then I was like, you say to the other actors, you say, and that's why I came out crying, right? Boom, joke, you know. And then she does that, and then the next take she does, and that's why when I came out, the doctor didn't need to smack me before I started crying. And I was like, oh no, you just made that.
What is it that you don't like about that one?
You just added fucking 5 words for no reason.
Syllables.
And now I'm thinking about
It's
a
syllables.
doctor and a thing slapping, and there's all these other visual images that are coming to my head that slows the joke down. You don't need all that.
You like concise.
Well, would you say the other economy of words?
Do you
right?
see jokes in shapes? Like when you think of that joke, when you think of that line,
like another one was a bunch of condoms fall from a box, and she's like, why do you guys, not condom, like a bunch of dildos fall on her, and then she's like, they come
Great
in,
visual.
and my line was, how you not like dick and got a box full of dicks? And then it became a more wordier thing, and it's like, oh, but to me, the way it sounds right is that.
I would fix that joke by saying, how do you not like dicks and had a box of them just fall on you?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say dicks the second time. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So I noticed when you talk about jokes, you kind of do like a is it like a rhythm thing for you? That
Yeah,
you really enjoy?
But then when I'm on stage, when
He
you
won't
do
answer
the
the
rhythm, it
question.
sounds fake. What do you mean? Is it a rhythm thing? What do you mean?
So you're like, you said it like it had added too many things, and like it kind of sounds like, yeah, and you're always like bam, 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 boom, 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 like that when you describe
when
I guess you're right.
when musicians see or write music, they see or write it. Sheet music, some of them can't read sheet music, but they see it. But the melody, right? When I think of jokes, I see shapes, and I taste things. Like it's called synesthesia, and I wonder when you hear or write a joke, is it the rhythm of the joke? Is it the syllables?
Sometimes.
Can you visualize it? Is there anything that goes along with it, or is it just words, or is there anything that stands out to you like that? Does that make sense, what I just said?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't visualize it. I just hear it in my head. Like I just hear.
How do you hear it? Syllables. Ba 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 ba.
Like that one, I just.
sounds like Blue from Blue's
Like
Clues,
that
yeah.
one specifically, it was like created like just in that moment. Like it was like it's just.
It's like second nature. You can't describe it.
Like that, it's like I get this it's like, oh, like there it is. Like and I maybe don't even have the joke yet, but it's like
electricity?
yeah, I'm like, oh wait, like I was talking to a guy about like a cameraman, he was talking to me about like what do you do? And I'm like, I'm just punching stuff up, you know, and she was working on the monologue.
What do you do?
What it's just I'm cutting through all the interesting part of the conversation and just getting to anyway. The point was he wanted to. So I'm like, I pitch jokes and I listen to see if I can hear, oh shit, that's, you know, and then it's like, you just hear where there's supposed to be something.
That makes sense.
And then, I start walking over to go pitch it. And then it's like, I know I'm writing the joke sort of on the way. Because it's like, I know that
So it's
there, you know, like I know where I got the feeling I got to get to.
You ever
like,
see A Beautiful Mind? The Russell Crowe thing?
yeah, when he was psychotic and seeing
numbers,
people and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but let's get past that.
I was about to say he.
No, but I mean it is the way they visualize it in the movie is.
Maybe Rain Man's a better example.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But I mean it is like when you see you see it and you have to get it out. It's a compulsion for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You are schizophrenic.
Yes. Are you really here? Have we met?
Have we met? What you mean? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So with jokes and things like that, I definitely there's a shape to them for me, and there's a softness and a rigidity to certain words. You know what I mean? I really like.
Sometimes I want it to be and then other times I'm like, it's the flow of like, and then the last word is the trick, you know, I'm fine with like a subtle joke too, you know, one that doesn't get a laugh, but it's still there.
Little.
It's, you know, like I like to do jokes on the way to the joke, you know, like.
Have you
like
ever,
I got a joke that I know is the joke, and then it's like I try to write more jokes in front of it and behind it. So it's like, it's a series of
trying
jokes.
to build.
Yeah, if I'm talking about abortion, it's like on the way in, I have 3 jokes as I'm describing what I'm talking about. And
On the
then
way in
it's
to
like
get an abortion?
on the way to the abortion joke, yeah, like or
Have
whatever
you-
that joke is. I don't know why I always say that, but
No, I know. I caught myself doing this sometime last year, and then very heavily through this last festival that I did. Have you ever been in a room and caught yourself laughing, but you weren't listening?
because other people are laughing, you mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
I realized I stopped listening to comedians probably a year or so ago, and sometimes with these specials, this is specifically back to Gerard Carmichael and Drew Michael and guys like that. I can watch their specials without the volume and really enjoy it, and then sometimes I watch them with volume, and I know I'm really enjoying it because I'm mostly listening to the audience like it's the instrument,
Right.
and then the person on stage is basically just playing it, and I don't even need to know what they're talking about.
I do that sometimes when like as we're doing the live taping of the show. Like I'll stand here with and I'll just watch the crowd.
Yes.
And to see if their heads are. It's because they're also watching on a monitor and they have headphones on, so there's a little bit of that, like it destroys the community that laughter need, you know. But you can see, like it's fun to watch them and be like, oh, okay, that's not working. Like they're not connecting there, and then you start
to do the math. You start to go in and like, what's wrong
why?
here?
Why is that? What words are making them?
What words do we put in here to fill the hole that is where these laughs should be?
And sometimes, like I had a joke I wrote where it started off as like a kids drowning their pools joke, and in my head, and then it's like, okay, I can't do that, and then it sort of I rewrote it's all, you know, in that 30 seconds or whatever, when jokes come.
It's like
to
instant, right?
Where it's like, okay, ditch that, and then it gets you to the thing. It's like, it's like it's such a cool feeling. It'll be like being in a zone where it's like, oh, we're working on this minute and a half. I've read the words, and I'm like, all right, that's fine, and I can't think of any jokes for it. And then I start hearing it, and it's like, there's a joke. It's like you get one of those runs where it's like you just 4 fucking jokes pop into your head. Like, okay, that, and they just fit.
And then there's an anxiety to like, make sure I just say them right now. I gotta say right now, that compulsion.
Yeah.
I caught myself like almost asleep in the booth a couple times, like not sleeping out of boredom, just out of like comfort, right? So I'll be sitting in the booth at the little window at the comedy club, and somebody will be on stage, and everybody will be laughing, and then I'll be laughing, and then they'll say something to talk to me, and it's happened both ways where they'll say something, and I really don't know where I was because I was kind of entranced just listening to the audience.
Right.
But then somehow my response will still get a laugh because I just know the beats to that song.
Right.
And then there are times when they'll say something, I wasn't paying attention, and I can add perfectly to what they were saying because I know the beats of the song. It's a really strange thing, man. When you're in
the booth and you're on some of those nights, it's like you're saying, you kind of feel where the hole is and like the thing that's not going to derail the comic on stage and get the laugh, you know?
Yeah, dude, I love that. It's because I'm a people pleaser, I think. I legitimately think that's where it's coming from. When I was a kid, I had to make my father laugh because it was a defense mechanism. And he's notoriously a rough audience, but also a great comedy audience. He loves laughing. He loves jokes. He understands the math that you understand. And so I got this real need fit into that so desperately. And so now when I'm at the shows, legitimately the most important thing to me is that everybody's laughing.
Like I remember one time I went and like typed up a whole 2 or 3 pages of like notes and tags and shit for Titus. Maybe it was 2 pages for Titus, and was like, here. And he was like, I remember I think I stopped giving him those after that, because I remember the look on his face when he was like, what the, okay.
Freak.
Yeah. Like, you typed these up? And
You
I was like,
thought about me this long?
no, well, I watched the show. I mean, that's how I especially used to. I would watch the show, and I guess that's sort of what I do now on the Pat Show, is like I watch the show and look for what I think are holes,
Where they can fit, yeah.
or like, oh, it'd be funny if you faked opened a beer can right
Did
there.
he ever
like
use
you do.
any of them?
A couple, you know what I mean? Some of the dad stuff and stuff, you know what I mean? It's fine, you know? It's just
I,
like most guys you work with, it's like you give them tags and I'm a fucking good joke writer, so I could, you know what I mean? So there's...
You do get paid for it.
Yeah, so I mean, over time, you know what I mean? I'm going to be 1 for 10, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Worst case scenario, you
1
know?
for 10 is
That's, to me, that's gold, you
Hall
know?
of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's batting like 300, right?
Yeah,
Probably
I've got
not, but
It's the equivalent of
Yeah,
batting
it's
300.
300.
It's the equivalent of batting 300 if you take the math.
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yes. If you don't take the math out of it, and you're like the guy pitching jokes to the showrunner, like, and you're 1 for 10, he's like you with the wordplay all the time.
Yeah, but I mean,
But then
1
I
for 10 in a writer's room is Magic City. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it really is. Like, you think of how many attempts you need to get the joke right. And if you get 1 joke right every 10 times,
I'm happy with just recognizing the spot. Like, oh, we need a joke here.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, what do you
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, well, you're saying, oh, we can say that in a funny way, is, you know. And then it's like the other joke writers start pitching joke, and then somebody finds one, and that to me is equally.
That's cool.
not
equally, but it's. I feel good about that also. You know what I mean?
How do
Like,
you feel when you? So I we had an experience not that long ago that was pretty cool for me. I've had this invisible checklist of things that I would have just loved to have done when I was a kid, and the fact that I have been ticking them off consistently over the last 10 years because it was so
You're right.
focused.
Wrestler, magician, comedian. You've done a lot.
Yeah,
of these.
but I mean mostly with comedy. Most of my goals have always been comedy. I just didn't know they were goals because I didn't know I could do comedy.
Oh.
Once I started doing comedy, I've had jokes that have been told on HBO, on The Tonight Show. I got a laugh out of Howard Stern. You know what I mean? I've done these things, and if you would have told me when I was at any point 10 years ago or previous, I would have get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I probably have 4 or 5 lines in a Titus thing. My wife has a joke that she pitched me in the green room, and I was like, I don't know. And he was like, oh, can I do that? And I'm like, I
Hell
don't think it's
yeah,
gonna work.
dude. That's so fucking
He
cool,
reminds
man.
me of that all the time. Like,
Think about that
like
shit.
your wife gave you a joke that you rejected, and
Yeah.
it fucking kills. And I knew it would kill.
Nailed.
Yeah.
You know?
Never gonna live that
Oh,
one down.
my God.
I just think those things are so cool. I was kind of telling Seth that, like, when we made the first episode of my show, and he likes some comics that I know and that I don't know, and I was like, I guarantee you, there's someone, and not even comedian or whatever, there's someone that would shock him that likes one of the things he did. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
There is a human being who does something that he thinks is awesome, that they've seen his work and just fucking love it. And to me, those things that's the coolest part of comedy. The fact that 15 years ago I was working this job I hated, I used to listen to comedy specials constantly, and that I've worked with most of those people and made them laugh the fuck out of here.
It is fun to stand backstage. To like as you're doing comedy and more you get into it, and your friends are doing, you know your friends' jokes, and you've given people tags. There's that fun feeling of being back in the, and it's really hard not to tell the guy standing next to you.
I wrote that.
Yeah, I wrote that.
I fight the urge.
I've gotten to a point sometimes where I don't have to say that anymore, and I'm kind of.
Yeah.
It's like I fight it. Like I want to tell somebody I wrote that.
I've written for people who have done specials, and I've never told anybody who those people are, just because I know that comedian wouldn't love the fact that I would take some credit for some of their writing.
It's dumb.
I understand that, but
why would you? The fact that guys don't have. Maybe you don't want people to know it, right? Obviously, but like it used to not be a big deal. Like if Bob Hope had a fucking staff, like Why wouldn't
Would you write on one of your specials, if I wrote some jokes for you, would you put written by and then Tom Simmons and Eric Trundle?
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah.
You're one of the rare comedians who would do that. Anyways,
I would probably say written by Tom Simmons with contributions and tags.
Sure, I'd love that, and I'd take it. But here's my thing:
or just a thank you at the end.
I would love that as well.
Okay.
Notice
it's going down and down.
No, I would mention.
I'm like, sure, I would. I'd rather be in front title.
You see what I mean?
You know?
But see, here's the thing: is I don't need that credit. I just want anyone to get a laugh with the thing I said. So the jokes I wrote that made it on the Tonight Show, man. I got to sit there with my oldest son, and he got to watch someone tell jokes that I wrote.
That's interesting that watching someone tell jokes to you gives you pride.
So much.
But watching John Cena do your move pisses you off.
Doesn't piss me off. I just want the acknowledgement that I'm not crazy. That is the truth.
He wants John Cena to say thank you, Eric.
I think
because those comedians would tell my son that your dad helped with that joke. But John Cena, this son of a bitch.
That's right.
One of the most fun times I've ever had on stage was when you were in the booth and I shit on you.
Yeah.
So I wish it's one of the only things.
Mean.
It's because you're easy to get a laugh
You're
with.
fucking mean.
Thank you. One of the most fun, and this is one of the giant regrets I have in life, is that this one moment wasn't caught on tape, and I wonder if you know which one it is.
You were making jokes all night. You said a thing, and I said, how about blah, 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 and I gave a little tag to it.
Yeah.
And
what happened next?
And he just fucking went off on me, like, you're not me. You know what I mean? Like,
I have the audio recording.
Fucking brutal.
But without the video, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, we can do it with the puppet or something.
So yeah, we can recreate it. It was, and here's what happened. I'm so desperate for laughs. So what ended up happening was, you said, I don't even remember what it was. It was a joke I was trying to write, and then you did have a good thing, but your volume was too low on the mic, so you stepped back.
Yeah.
And had you been on the mic, it would have been fucking fantastic.
But I said a joke that didn't work.
No.
And so
the reason the joke didn't work is because they couldn't hear you.
It didn't matter. It still didn't work. So you had to go off on me.
Yes. And so what I did was I was like, Tom, you're not me. And then I had the microphone, and because I had been in that room, and I sat in every chair, and I walk all over that room, and I spent so much time in it, I've always had the idea that I thought I could slide across the floor.
Right.
And so for whatever reason.
Yeah, you got on the floor.
I took the mic, I got on the floor, and I effortlessly glided doing a backstroke across the floor. And I think I said, do you see what I do, Tom? I don't even write jokes. I'm in the moment, whatever it was.
Yes.
And it worked so perfectly. I got such a big laugh on it.
It was great.
But it was because you were off mic. It wasn't.
And I was like, oh shit! I guess don't interrupt Eric.
Well, I needed a laugh. I just needed to laugh so bad because my anxiety is so bad going forward. That's why that shit comes out like that. That's why it comes out.
But that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So you should. Why does it get you over your anxiety? Or as soon as you off stage, does it flood back, or is it gone until next time?
Do you know what adrenaline? Like, you know when you get adrenaline.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, whoa, and then immediately you are taken out of that situation. It's like such a dump for me, man. It feels so bad afterwards. It's exhausting, dude. I guarantee you.
Well, you should feel bad. You fucking shit on me in front of everybody. I'm a big time comedy star. Now you got to defend me when everybody agrees with you.
I do tell everybody that you're a big time. You're one of the best comics I've ever seen. But I guarantee
let's close on that. Welcome to the best comics you've ever seen. You've never seen this show.
I guarantee you what ended up happening that night is I stood outside because I had adrenaline. I talked to a bunch of the kids. I gave everybody tags.
Right.
My fucking body was still shaking. I got in my car. I sulked. My body fucking got shitty. I ordered food from a gas station.
Yeah.
I picked it up. I went home. I ate in bed, and my body just started shaking and convulsing.
Ugh.
And I cried for a while.
That's
I
awful.
guarantee you that's what happened.
That makes me sad.
I know. Now I'm ending shows bad.
But
Yeah,
I
we
do
can't
have
end
that.
the show on that.
Because I definitely had that backstage a couple weeks ago, where I had
I
this
love that.
weird, like, electricity and energy, and then it's like you said, you get off stage and it's like, okay, and then like I was talking to another comic, I'm like, I think that energy's gone, and then she started talking to me again, and it was like, okay, now it's back, you know what I mean? Like my brain was just firing, you know what I mean? And then it's like you leave, you're right, and then it's like you sort of decompress, and make a few bad decisions on food and
Yeah,
you
this
know
is
what I mean?
why this is my theory, and you would be the perfect person to.
God, I love comedy so much.
Me too, man. So I have a theory on why.
Still, you know what I mean? I've been doing it so long.
You must
and
love
I
it if you're still
fucking
doing it
love
after that.
I
Yeah.
have a theory on why so many of our
Jokes.
friends. I have a theory on why so many of the greats and so many of our friends die at a faster rate than most other people. And you can tell me if I'm full of shit or not.
Sorry, I'm getting texts about my son's baseball game.
Oh, good. I hope he's winning. Here's the theory. Whenever I don't want to.
Go ahead.
No.
No, I'm ready.
Probably
I'm done.
gotta-
Boom.
No, there's no pressure. Talk to your kid.
No, it's not.
My phone, dude. My phone will ring during this podcast, and I'll just get up and leave. Like, my kids are more important than all of you guys. I love you guys, but
It'd be weird if we were more important.
Yeah. And
I wouldn't want to be here.
that was a
It'd
bit
be
I
weird.
did on stage. Somebody's phone rang.
We're here. Your kids aren't fucking here.
Live in the
Yes,
moment.
that's
Yeah,
right,
what's wrong
dude.
with you?
Like we're consoling you through PTSD. We're your fucking kids. I don't
Yeah,
see your
we're the
phone
ones that
ringing.
are gonna walk
know
you
what I mean?
through it. Us.
That's right.
Yeah.
I still love them.
I pity
There's
anyone.
a video of me on stage where somebody in the audience, and this is growth, right? There's a video on stage where somebody in the audience, their phone rings, and 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have been like, "Shut your fucking phone off! How dare you!" You know what I mean? And now their phone rings, I was like, "Answer it, man!" Like, I hate it when
Yeah.
comedians get mad about that, and I was saying comedians, but it was really me, because it's like I'm sorry, your dick joke's just not that important. Like, I have kids, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, answer your phone.
I got kids.
I got kids,
But at least put it on silent. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or get up
but
and
people,
walk.
they don't understand that. And honestly,
Yeah.
dude, whatever. Your life is way more important than this fucking dick joke I'm about to tell. So I have this theory about why comedians die or struggle at a larger rate than regular humans. And it's this. We suffer greatly, most of us. We suffer greatly to write in the process and all of this shit. And then you go out and it works. It either works or it doesn't, and neither one of those is a
Right.
fucking high or a goddamn low. You know what I mean? But that high, what's better than that high? What's better than the high of doing well at comedy? There's very few things.
Yes,
man.
there's
There's been points in my life where I have tried to be the best father I could possibly be. And there were times when I loved comedy more than I loved being a parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a mistake I made. That is honestly how I felt. And so when I go and it works, what's better than that? And then when I go and it doesn't, what's worse? Like, there's almost nothing, right?
Or when you go and it's just
Yeah, that's worse.
That's bad too.
So bad. And indifference is way worse than hate, you know? And so this theory I have, I was a depressed person who's out on the road. This is probably right around when we met. I was a depressed comic who's out on the road. I needed all of this more than I needed anything. I wasn't taking care of myself. No one was taking care of me. I didn't love anybody. Nobody loved me. And then I'd go and I'd fucking smash for 4 people. You know what I mean? Or whatever the fuck it was. I'd smash at a VFW hall or whatever it was. I just, a comedy club, half hour, 5 bangers every goddamn night where I'm the funniest person on the goddamn show. And then I get all this adulation. I go stand at the compliment steps outside.
Yeah.
Everybody come by, be like, "Hey, great show. You were funnier than the headliner, blah, blah, blah." Feed me, feed me, feed me. My adrenaline's fucking, I just jumped out of a goddamn plane, man. And then I'd get my mozzarella sticks and I'd go back to the hotel room and I'd watch House Hunters International for 18 hours until it was showtime
It's
again.
too specific to be just made up.
You know what I mean? And that really is like that difference between the adrenaline and then that loneliness. When you
It's
are
weird.
constant-
It's weird though, and then it's still hard to get out of the room. Like
Right?
even if it's the show's at 8, sometimes you're just in a place where it's like it's
7:42.
somehow it's hard to like get out of get out and get to the club, and you know what I mean? Like
it's these giant swings
Yeah.
that people who are not mentally capable are constantly in. I'm a lonely, depressed human being who is having these incredible spikes of adrenaline every night, and then
Right.
these incredible depths and lows of loneliness in the evening. And then I'm getting paid in depressants.
he's not selling this comedy thing at all.
I'm not, man. But
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what
like
saying.
I'm not even a year in. And you're
Yeah, yeah.
No, but you're a fucking regular human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I can't do comedy.
Okay.
If it's just the good thing, if I was you,
No, I think
I'd be
it's.
a goddamned animal. I'd be on stage right now. I wouldn't be here with
I think
us.
you're opposite.
I
think
promise you.
I think it's the opposite. I think you have to be on stage, and he likes
I
it.
have to be on stage.
I don't know why I'm undercutting you like that.
No,
but,
no.
But like you, it's like you have to be there. You need it.
Right.
But I don't think
I'm too
everybody needs it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's I don't know.
I'm not saying you don't need it.
No, I know
But
what you
I
mean.
mean-
Yeah, it's just like I was thinking about it the other day. It's like, you know, I really like comedy, and I also like editing, and it's like I have something else. It's like, okay, I get
Yeah.
not validation, but I get something out of it, and it's like
Fulfillment.
fulfillment. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, I
But
get.
you also, it's cool because if you're, I don't know, I think there's a freedom that allows you, if you don't, this isn't your only choice. I know that there's a lot of like, give everything else up and dive in, you got no choices and that'll make you great.
Yeah, that was me.
But there's also something to not needing it that makes it so you're more comfortable just being yourself and doing what you wanted, what makes you laugh and what you care about. Because if you don't have to do well at this gig so that they'll have you back so that you can scrape by on the money, if you're fine, if you have another income stream, if you have other things you enjoy, it could be easier to be a comedian because now you don't have, as far as development, because you don't have to. You don't have to you're not doing it for the $50. You'd be like, no, that place sucks. I'm not going there for $100.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I didn't have that. So
you got to go there and do it because it's like that's how you're paying your bills and that's how you're.
The comedy careers
But if you're doing that, don't waste your time doing those gigs for the money if you're not gonna work. You got to. You can't be used by the road. You have to use it. You have to go like, okay, I'm gonna go do this gig. I'm not gonna do well.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna not do well and also pander. You know what I mean? So you gotta not do well and work so that when you're in front of a Charlie Goodnight's crowd or whatever, that now you're ready. You've worked on the bits.
You've been in the gym.
Yeah, you've been there doing the work to make them better, you know? You have to use the shitty gigs to get better instead of trying to kill at them. If you're learning how to kill at every weekend room or one-nighter, then you're awful at comedy. Maybe not awful, but you're
struggling.
You're definitely, no, you're there. I remember one of the pieces of advice I got early on that I didn't understand, which is you watch enough comedy, you'll see the guys that are killing the most frequently are very rarely good at comedy, or they're very rarely the great comics.
Yeah, they're not the great comics. They're
good at it. They're good at comedy, but they're not.
The definition needs to be placed there, right? They got to figure out what you mean by comedy and comedians, you know, because I know people who.
But you know what I mean, right?
I do know what you mean.
Could you?
And not
maybe,
always, but generally 80%. Like the guys that are really murdering.
Yeah.
They're not always the best. They're very rarely the best.
I know comedians who.
Could you explain that to me? Because I don't get that.
I can.
Somebody, yeah.
Because they're doing the same. The same guy next week is doing that act too, or some version of that. You know, right? Is that how you would describe it?
I would describe it as there are tricks and gadgets that you can use that are not the most artful. I'm pretty positive that I could go in and get a standing ovation at a comedy club.
Right.
Pretty positive that I can. And
Just
get almost no laughs.
Just string cliches together. Walk on stage. What do you start your
It's not
job
even.
right away?
Okay.
You know?
It's
Look at
physical-
that. You just.
It's physical movements and
yeah.
Just some little gadgets, some little trickeries, hand
Sorcery.
movements. Yeah.
But why not incorporate them? I mean, that's like being like everybody throws a slider. I'm not throwing a
If
slider.
it's natural, I could do it if it's natural. I can't.
Yeah.
I really struggle with doing anything that's just not me. I spent so much of my life doing shit that other people told me I had to do that I didn't want to do, that I can't do anything I don't want to do anymore. You can
barely get you to do the things you want to do, which is comedy.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it.
I really don't want to do comedy.
Like, there's things I love that I'm not doing. You think I'm going to do the shit I don't love?
Yeah, exactly. The careers I enjoy the most, looking at the careers that I like the most, are the comedians who did comedy so much that they got something else and then didn't have to do comedy. They did comedy because they wanted to.
Right.
Those
and
are
they
the
got
careers
better, right?
Well, I think
What are some examples?
I mean, Gerard, you take the pressure off, right? Like, the reason the push was so much on television shows in the late 90s, early 2000s, that comedy boom, the reason the sitcom became so huge, in my opinion, is I'm a comedian. I do the sitcom even though I'm not an actor. I get that sitcom, so I now have a gigantic fan base of people I can go to do shows with. There's a giant difference in going to a place because it's a comedy show, that audience who's just coming because it's a comedy show and not Tom Simmons. There's a giant difference between that audience and an audience who's waking up because they bought Tom Simmons tickets 4 weeks ago and they're excited to go see you.
Right, yeah.
When you walk in the building, there's a different energy. That first building where they don't know it's Tom, you are jumping through hoops that are not your hoops. And when you are doing the thing that you are doing, the pressure is, oh, I got to be myself instead of be someone who all these people like.
I got to go to a baseball game.
Oh yeah, how's it going?
I got to go to it.
Oh.
What do you mean you got to go to it?
My son's got a baseball game. I say
Tonight?
yes.
Yeah, that's what
They
I'm
need you
saying.
to pitch.
No, he's still hurt. So I'm really just going to a baseball game that he's also watching. And for instance, he's
going to watch a baseball
texts
game
me,
with your son together apart.
No, apart. He's going to be down in the bullpen heckling the left fielder. Yeah. And he's like, he says, I have all his baseball stuff in my truck.
Oh.
Oh.
Good. I forgot you got a truck. I need you to help me get a coffee table.
It's funny you say that.
Is it?
Yes.
Why?
Because I just wrote a joke about that. 'Cause somebody was moving and I realized, you know you're not very likable when you own a truck and nobody ever asks you to help with your stuff. And you're literally the first person to ask me.
That's funny.
Yes.
That's funny.
All right.
Oh,
thanks.
see, that's proof I like you, Tom.
That's all I needed. That's why now we're going to end the show on We Love Tom Simmons. All right. Thanks for watching Dumbest Guy in the Room. If this is an episode.
Yeah.
All right.
It might be.
Yeah.
Wrangle
So I
something
enjoy
out of
hanging
this.
out. I enjoy hanging out with you both. And
Good times.
we're doing it again tomorrow.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
see you tomorrow.
All right.